Hello all, fingers crossed we have beaten all the technical issues of our 2 o'clock start. I'm not sure we have or we haven't. Okay, so it's telling me I'm connected to Facebook. It's telling me I'm connected to YouTube. If you are watching me on either of those, can you please comment and let me know? So that I know whether we can continue this or if we need to set it again for another later time today. Fingers crossed we are going through and somebody will comment. I know that I've got mum watching and I know I've got Martin's mum watching and I know Shirley and Rosina are watching, so please somebody just say something. Yay, thank the Lord. So well, at least we're on Facebook anyway. Fingers crossed the YouTube one has kicked in as well. Anybody watching us on YouTube, hi Carol, hi Teresa, thank you for bearing with us. We are back. Right, hi Helen, and I can see my comments. How exciting. I haven't had any from YouTube yet, so if anybody's watching me on YouTube, please make a comment. Yay, hi Pat, we're a go. Oh good grief, what a drama. I don't need that on a Thursday afternoon, do we? So as I was saying before, it's a beautiful sunny day here, so thank you all for joining me. I'm sure lots of you are joining me while you're sitting in your garden. Hi Tina. So we are going to flip through the camera and show you what we're working on. Let me just get rid of that one because it's right across the bottom of the screen. There you go. So as I mentioned previously, I have removed the video because it was going to confuse the world out of everybody. We are going back to look at some of our older honeydew craft stamps today. Ahead of our launch of our new stuff, which will hopefully be next Facebook Live, YouTube Live, which will be the 21st of September. Thank you, Anne. Thank you for checking. Bonjour, Marie. So, let's get started. Thank you, Martin. We are now finally working. What a drama. Hi, Pat. So, we are going to be using Flower Fountain, which is one of our 4x7s, the $9.99 stamps. We are also going to be using Just In Case. Now this one has got Thinking of You, Just a Little Note, Feel Better Soon, New Home, With Sympathy, With Love, Good Luck, Celebrate, Congratulations on the arrival of your new baby, Thank You, and then at the bottom down here it says Handmade By. I know lots of people ask for that, so we do have a tiny little one. Hi Helen, I was going to mention the Lincoln show on my little bit at the end, so yeah, it's going to be nice. We've got a mad crazy turnaround on that. I don't know if you know, but we are. Hi Mary, early in the morning in Alberta, Canada. How lovely. Oh, it's 3:25 in the afternoon here now, and we've got what they call our Indian summer, which is lovely. So we're also going to be using our Brushstrokes stamp set. So you've got a really large one down here, and I'm going to show you how best to use these. A slightly smaller but still quite large stamp up the top here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individual brush strokes. We are also going to be using our black lightweight. It's 220 GSM. It's almost like a paperweight, but ideal for backing. For masking and layering, and we are using our super smooth cardstock and we have that in 250 or 300 GSM. I think I might have actually worked out how to be putting these things down out of my way and still be able to pick them up at the end without them going everywhere. We will be using VersaFine Onyx Black and our crystal clear embossing powder. So we'll find out when I go to pick it all up at the end, won't we? We're using 3 different oxide colours today. We've got Carved Pumpkin, Spice Marmalade and Wild Honey. We will, fingers crossed if I remember, be using our anti-static bag. It is quite important that you do, and I might be able to show you why I didn't. I can't remember if I can get my hands on the one I was fiddling with. So we'll be using those 2 pieces. And then the pens we are using are Orange 070, Bright Yellow 052 and Yellow 505. I don't think I can get those up there for you to see and keep it in focus. No, it's not going to focus, is it? I tried to go in there nice and slowly for you. but it went out of focus, and it's going to, so we'll give up on that. Good afternoon, Angela. Sorry, I know you joined us before. Thank you for coming back. And then we've got our sticky glue that comes in the 120 or the 30 ml. So let's pop this out of our way. And then we can get started. So we are working on an 8x8 card today. Let me grab my pieces. So once again, an 8x8. And then we have our black cardstock. Oh, I've just noticed my first boo-boo. Let's see whether I've done them both wrong or just... Ah, there, see, look. Talk amongst yourself for a second. There we go. Get rid of those bits. So we have a piece of black cardstock, which is 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. So it just gives us a really light little white border around the edge. Hi Anne, hi Veronica. Anne, I hope you had a lovely holiday. And then we have a white piece which is 7.5 inch square. So that's just going to fit roughly like so. We then have, it's not a huge amount of pieces today, and they're all straightforward measurements. We have a piece of black cardstock which is 5 3/4, no, 7.5 by 3. And this is 7.5 because the length needs to stay the same on both of these. So this one is 7.5 by 2 3/4, so that you've just slightly narrower, but the length is still the same. Hi Carol. And then we have 2 pieces. The black cardstock is 5 3/4 by 4 3/4, and the white is 5.5 by 4.5. It is very warm. Maisie's not outside either, Jill. I hope you're having a lovely holiday. I don't know whereabouts in Norfolk you are, but I hope you're having a lovely time. I think you said last time, wasn't it? I want to say Great Yarmouthy way, but I'm not sure if that was me just dreaming. Who knows? Anyway, I hope you're enjoying it in our lovely little Norfolk. So we will get started. I'm wondering if we should just stick this piece down first, and then it's out of my way, and I don't have to hunt around for it. As you all know, I'm big on that. Get rid of the extra pieces and then you don't have to go looking for them. So I'm just going to stick this piece down on the front of our card. One less piece to look for when I'm putting this together. If my day's going to, if this video is going to continue how it has done so far today, it's going to test me to the point of no return, I think. See, it is going to test me to the point of no return. We'll pop that all down. I'm going to make this one sort of as a 10th fold. So I'm going up that way. So that's my aim anyway. As I said, I was going to do that last time and I ended up putting it back in the wrong, putting it together wrong. So fingers crossed I won't do that. I'm not going to do this piece yet. We are going to work on our other 2 white pieces first and then come back to the larger one, and it will make sense as we're going along. So we are going to start with this one first. Everything's stacked over here. Oh, good grief. Please, somebody give me a break here. Again, I've still got this awful niggly cough, so I can only apologise. It is an asthma cough and it plagues me all through the summer season, so to speak. So bear with us. I am trying not to do it, but... Habsburg. I don't know it, but I've heard of it. Never been. So hopefully you're having a lovely time. So we are going to start. Now, it's a brush stroke stamp. So I want this to look like a brush has put it on. So I'm using the Oxides. Therefore, I'm just going to drag this. I'm just trying to work out why I was getting a funny line, but it's because my labels are stuck on and it was catching on the labels. Oh, dentist, I hope it all went all right, Sue. Right, so we are just literally dragging the Oxides down. Now, obviously the Oxides are a felt ink pad, so they have sort of a texture to them on the top. which allows us to get like the brush lines that you would get if you were painting with a brush. I don't know if I do it. No, I'm going to go this way. I'm umming and ahhing because the bottom of this has got a slight pattern to it. That's a big stamp. And because of the way we've done it, it doesn't matter if it doesn't stamp out beautifully perfect. If you really didn't like it, you could go back in on the top. You wouldn't ever line it up perfectly again, but you could definitely go back in on the top. That ended up with a little bit from the ink pad on there, with a little dot there, but I'm not gonna worry too much about that. I'm gonna do the same again with the next colour. I do like this technique. You've seen me do this technique before, and I do really like using it like this. So, and we're just going to slightly overlap this one. It's more about getting the texture on the sides than anything else. So I will come in close when I've done the last one, and then you can see it all in its glory. Got the same problem with the label on this one, it's taken the edge off. I really would prefer a continuous streak down rather than sort of just, hang on, I'll show you what I mean. If you do it, if it's not continuous, you'll get that sort of an effect, and you don't really want that, because if you're painting with a brush you would tend to go in one long stroke. I'll keep catching that bottom corner with the label. I'll have to deal with that label after I've done this Facebook Live. I think we've had enough drama today. Yeah, I might as well go the same way again, and then we'll pop this one on here too. What a day we've had, eh? Still, we're there now. So you are going to end up hopefully with a piece that looks something like so. All right. So you can see like it looks like it's had the brushes brushed over it, if that makes sense. Obviously we do sometimes stamp off the page when you're doing this, so be aware that you have done that and you'll need to mop that up as you're going along. Right, so we are then going to move on to our square with our stamped image on it. Now this is where you need to use your anti-static bag. I very rarely re-ink these ink pads, to be fair, Gillian. Hopefully they do last quite a long time. They're not particularly juicy. Just be aware though, with the oranges and the yellows, when you try and clean them, it goes on forever. So if you wanted, you could, I mean, we've still got ink left on there, so I could spritz that with a water bottle if I had one, and just use up the ink by stamping it out on something else. But I haven't got that here, so I am actually just going to wipe that off so that it doesn't transfer onto anything else. That's what I was going to show you, wasn't I, with the big stamps, before I go on to stamping this. So with the big stamps, if I can get this off, I quite often, to get it flat, will make my acrylic block a little bit damp, and then you're going to place your stamp on here. And when I mentioned about rolling it on, this is what I mean. So you're going to take your stamp and curl it back on itself and roll it onto your stamp block, and hopefully that will eliminate a lot of the air bubbles that you might get, particularly with the larger ones and with our paint splodgers. The big one, I know a few people have said it's not stamping out in the middle, or it's stamping out in the middle and it's not stamping on the edges. That's a little trick to mean that you don't get the air bubbles underneath. So it's completely flat, there's no air bubbles under there for the ink to bounce off, if that makes sense. Fingers crossed I wasn't talking a complete load of jumble there. I might have been. But hopefully, as I say, if anybody's got questions, just pop a message on here or you can email us. Right, so we've put anti-static on here. I'm trying to find where to put these things as I'm going. So much of it haven't been organised. So we're going to take, excuse me, going to take the VersaFine Onyx Black and ink our stamp up. All happening here. Mum's front doorbell's just rung, which means somebody's delivering something. Don't you just love it? Nothing happens in our house ever, in our houses, and it's all going to happen today. Last time it was Maisie, this time it's somebody at the door. So plenty of ink. It's quite a big stamp, so remember, put plenty of ink on there. And where the solid parts of this stamp are, i.e. the leaves, the centre of the flowers and stuff, I do always just give it an extra little push on any stamp that's got more of a solid colour in particular areas. So we just press that down, make sure all the ink transfers from your stamp. Oh, I'm sorry, I think I'm just getting that a bit shaky, wasn't I? I do try really hard. I've weighted it down to try and stop that happening, but it's still happening. Don't know how we're going to stop that. Right, so plenty of ink on there, and fingers crossed we come out with a full clean image. Going to pop some crystal clear embossing powder on there now, all over. And for those of you that are new to joining me, I heat from underneath when I'm using ink to colour with, that I'm going to be colouring, because it allows the embossing powder to melt and the heat to get to it without the air from the heat gun blowing it off the ink, particularly if I'm using the VersaFines, because they're technically not an embossing ink. So you've obviously all gone very quiet and enjoying watching it, I'm hoping. So as I say, I'm going to heat from underneath. Just mind your fingers, because it does get very warm under there as you're doing this. Don't pick it up right where you've just heated it either. That hurt. School run, yeah. Everyone's back to school, aren't they? Where did that time go? Summer's just flown by, hasn't it? Well, we haven't really had much of a summer, to be fair, but what we have had has flown by. We're getting it now. Kids all back to school and the sun comes out. So that has been heated, so it gives you a shiny black finish. It is a lovely stamp, Gillian. We've had this out for, I hate to think, maybe 4 or 5 years. As I said, we've gone back to some of our older stamps because so many of you got so many of them, and I keep saying the new ones coming up on our Be Inspired page, but not so many of the older ones. So I thought, right, let's do some ideas on what you could do with the older ones. So we are now going to go in and colour. We are using the clean colour pens. So remember, when you're using the clean colour pens, you need to blot, because you've got embossing powder on here, so it gives you resist. And I can't wait to see what I've got for you either. I haven't finished prepping it yet, so we will hopefully get you the supplies list out end of next week. So fingers crossed. Who knows? You know me. And those of you that have done our workshops know that it kind of just happens. So I'm going to go in with the big one first and get that out of the way. So I am just using super smooth cardstock because I am purposefully not blending today. Because I know not everybody's got the watercolour cardstock that you need to blend these pens successfully. But if you have and you want to do it with watercolour and blend it, it would look lovely too. So as you can see, I am literally just scribbling this in. Because it isn't watercolour cardstock, I do try and not go over the same place too many times, because it will tear your paper. And I think we'll go up here for the other one. All fallen silent, I'm doing colouring. I've got to remember I have to talk to people when I'm colouring. It's kind of like my switch off. I forget that I'm supposed to be actually talking to you as well. So remember, go in and dab this off. I can't believe that it's only 21 days till we're back up in Newcastle again. Where did that summer go? I mean, when was it? March we were up there, I think, last? And that seems such a long time ago, Anne, doesn't it? It's madness. I hope you've all had a lovely summer. Done something exciting. This is a nice summery card for a beautiful sunny day. I don't know what it's like everywhere in the country or anywhere else in the country, in the world. Carol, we are still desperately looking for a new venue in this area, or locally-ish to us, so that we kind of cover the middle of the country-ish as well, or the east side of the country as well. And we are looking up on the northwest as well. It's just really difficult. There's nothing around here that's within the price range that we need to work with that can take that amount of people. Oh, Peter K, Kathy, I'm jealous as heck. I love Peter K, he just makes me laugh. And I didn't get tickets for it, so you have a fabulous time. But I bet it's warm in London. Having a nice weekend away. Be lovely. Birthday cake, Teresa. Is it your birthday or somebody else's? Let us know in the comments. So how are people finding a Thursday? Is a Thursday a better day than a Wednesday for people? We do need to have some feedback on this. Ideally. So that we know that we are working, that it works for everybody. So as you can tell, I have coloured this in pretty speedy. And I think we'll pop a little bit of colour in some of these little dots on here. I was going to leave them empty, but I think we'll add a bit in there. Wow, Teresa, happy birthday for yesterday. Your husband's birthday tomorrow, so that's why you're in London then, Kathy. Birthday celebrations, how lovely. I like London, but I like to go into London and come out again. It's not one of my favourite places in the world. I like going to see shows in London. I'd quite like to be going to see Peter Kay with you, Kathy, because he's my all-time favourite comedian. I just think he's funny. He just makes me chuckle. So this works better for you, does it? And that's good. Right. That's that all done. And remember, don't forget. Thank you, Carol. It's nice to know it fits in with you too. We're not there anymore. We had real problems with the unit, so we are no longer there. We are actually at home, but it's not laid out as a shop at home. But saying that, if you did want to come, where we do keep everything is laid out as a shop-ish, and we can certainly accommodate you if you would like to come and see us. I just won't be able to offer you tea or coffee. But let us know if you do want to do that. Pop me an email. Right, so that's that piece done. Now we're going to go and start working with our smaller, different inks. granddaughter's. That sounds like hard work, Gillian. Right, so I'm going to take the lid off all 3 colours now and then just decide what order I'm going in. The reason I haven't done this first is because I needed to position this before I did the next bit. So it will make sense in a minute. Now remember, we're dragging it off the ink pad because we want it to look like a brush stroke. We're just going to go in and randomly pop these on here. And we're just going down the 2 longer sides. There is going to be some chopping and changing the colours on this as well, so and chopping and changing of stamps so that we're not using the same one all the time. I've cheated a little bit with this one because I've got one on one end and one on the other. So how much mess do you think I can make? Probably quite a lot. And it doesn't matter if they overlap or anything like that, we're just pulling it all together so that everything ties in. That's good to know that you come and catch us on YouTube as well. We try and do it to suit as many people as we possibly can, and I know we can't accommodate everybody, but I try, do my best. So we're literally just building the colour up on this all the way down the edge. Seem to be getting that. There we go, that's better. But as I say, just down the 2 longer edges. And I didn't make too much of a mess, which is very unlike me. Thank you, Carol. It's not my usual colours, is it? Oranges and yellows. I don't often use oranges and yellows. I thought we'll come away from pink. Use a lot of that. Up here, I think. There we go. So as I say, you just keep building it up and up and up. Now if you've got any places that are particularly narrow, take one of your thinner stamps and just pop that in there, and it will fill in any little gaps. I'm going to go back with this one at the top, back to that yellow. Oh my lord, once they start crawling, goodness help you. As I say, we're just building up that colour. I think we need a bit of that yellow one in there before I clean that one up. So you can now sort of understand why we didn't do the colours before, around the edge, before we had finished the main image, because you're building up around it. Right in front of me, I couldn't see it. I like making random cards like this and making use of the different types of stamps that we have around. Oh, I don't want that because I had a big old streak in the middle of it. There we go, that's better. And don't be afraid to come up a little bit higher into the card. And I think this might be our last one. There we go. So that builds up the card. And you're right, yes it is autumn colours, Helen. It's perfect for autumn, isn't it? Although it doesn't feel much like autumn today. I am definitely a much happier person when the sun is shining and it's nice and warm outside. I don't do winters. So we will not talk about that particular season till we have to. Although we've done Christmas, so we should be by now, shouldn't we? Has anybody finished Christmas cards yet? I know some people start back in January, don't they? So I certainly don't. Excuse me. We will be going back to that technique again in a few minutes. We're just going to start putting together. Pat, you're not that late to the show because we were actually late to the show because we had a few technical problems. So no, you're not particularly late to the show at all. You haven't got that much to catch up on. Only about, probably about 25 minutes. So not a huge amount. Right, so we're going to stick this down. Let's start putting it together. So I tend to use the sticky glue, but if you're a tape person, then feel free to use your tapes. A little tip though, if you are using a tape and you need some wiggle room time, give yourself some glue on the back of that tape as well. Just a little bit, and it gives you the wiggle room to do what you want to do with it. You've finished all of your Christmas cards, Pat. Well done you. I haven't finished mine yet. This one next. We'll stick this together. So I don't know if you remember last time my friend had got Dad's funeral, and I did a version of the last card for her and she really liked it. So yes, we were right to go with the colour. Those of you that watched last week will understand what we mean by we were right to go with the colour. So we are now going to put this together. Roughly work out where you want it to be. It's entirely your choice how you line it up. I'm going to pop that around about there and just eyeball it. It doesn't matter, you're going to understand what we're doing next, but it doesn't matter if some of it does get covered. It's just nice to have a rough idea how far you're coming in. So I'm sort of talking about 2/3 of an inch, I think, on there. So again, we're going to go in with these colours and the smaller different paint brushes. Better. And the ones at the bottom can come out a little bit longer because obviously they're not going to be covered up. So you can think about that as you're doing it. And I do like to chop and change with using the different brush strokes as well, so they're not all symmetrical. So the colours we've got here are Spice Marmalade, Carved Pumpkin and Wild Honey, as I mentioned before. But they all work really well together, so it makes your life a little easier. Now, I don't want this to be perfect. Oh, thank you very much, Pat. That's really nice of you to say. I'm glad you like them. I tend to go for simple cards. I don't do anything that's difficult. Some of the ladies on the workshop might argue with me on that one. I don't make them difficult. But when I'm given instructions, particularly at my workshop, I try and stop people making errors that are going to cause them a problem. So I tell you all the bad things that could go wrong when you're doing it before you do them. And I don't think anything really bad can go wrong with this, really, can it? I'm sure. Just remember to look at what you're doing before you hit the button, because I didn't check that swipe, and this is what I mean by you might end up with a funny little smudge if you don't get that full streak. Can you see that on there? Ah, it doesn't matter. It's there now for all to see. Go with a bit of this one now. And we are just about done, I think. Just about. Oh, I nearly did it again, look. Now there's a couple of pieces there that are going to be too narrow for me to get anything in there without it smudging, I think, but we'll try. Just going to go in with that one there. And I have another one here. Don't want to see the white along the edge. Okay, never mind. We're all on YouTube, so you can go in and watch that whenever it's convenient. So we've got loads of videos on there. Did anybody see the one I posted at the beginning of the week, which was our first ever video we made? That was absolutely horrendous when we were trying to make that. Hilarious, but horrendous. It took us about 2 or 3 hours to make, because we just kept laughing. In the end, Martin ended up with a jumper over his head and the iPad peering out of the bottom of it. Oh, it was just hilarious. How things have moved on, hey? Because I got used to doing TV by that point, but I hadn't got used to being filmed by Mile and a Half. Because he was never around when I was doing the TV. He doesn't come in the studio, so it doesn't matter. Right, so I'm just going to pop these lids back on because they are going to stretch forever otherwise. That colour goes a long way when you smudge it. So that's our base of our main card. I've done all of that and I haven't done the inside of my card yet, so I'm going to be opening them up again anyway. So we'll stick this one on. You could go all the way around the outside of this if you wanted to. I just quite liked it just being on one edge. Oh, very quiet today. I think we'll go with the lighter colour at the top. So you could pop some colour down that side if you wanted to, but I quite like it just as it is. Now I did the sentiment ahead of time. Let's have a look here. Oh, happy birthday to Pat's grandson. See you soon. So I've taken the brush stroke on there as well, just because it brings everything all in together. And then I'm going to work out where I'm going to put the sentiment. I think we're just going to go down here. Like so. Now that's the front of the card, almost finished, but don't forget we need to pop something on the inside to carry that all through. So we'll just take the colours out again, drag that through there, and I'm probably just going to use the same. Obviously we are using a different, the cardstock is different on here, so the colours may or may not be as vibrant. It doesn't matter, you just want to bring that whole design all the way through. And you don't have to go big on it. but just have a nice, I am swapping it out because I can't not do it properly. Oh, Cornwall, how nice, Janice. It's a place I have got to get to. I think we'll do a long weekend maybe down there. But it's about 8 hour drive for us from here. So it is a long way to go. So I've put just a little note in there. So what one should we put on here? I'm going to put thinking of you. I could probably do with a slightly bigger sentiment in there, but we'll just go with that one because I haven't got a bigger one here to go on the inside. But remember, we've got lots of different sentiments, so. Well, I hope you're enjoying yourself, Susan. Pop sentiment in there. I probably would also have embossed that as well, but just to save on some time, I'm not going to. So we'll get rid of these little bits out of our way. As I said, I did that sentiment before just because I was matting and layering it, and it's a thin sentiment and it can be a bit of a faff to get the layers right, so I just did it ahead of time. But I want to pop a couple of gems in there. I've got some here somewhere, I have them. They've gone somewhere safe underneath everything. Thank you, Carol. Pop a couple of little gems in the middle here of our flowers, and then we're just about done. As I said, it's not a difficult card. It's a really nice card to make. I really enjoyed doing this one. That flipped over. There we go. And that's our card finished. I have done it as a tent fold, so it's going to stand up like so. But hopefully you enjoyed that one. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, everybody. I can't keep up with you all saying how nice the card is. So long as you all have a go at it too, though. So don't think that it's beyond anybody because you've just watched me do it and it isn't beyond anybody. It's one that you can do really quickly if you want to, or it can take you a little bit longer. But it doesn't have to. And you can do it in any colour as well. So that's the nice thing about it. So should we quickly run through what we've used? Just pop that to one side. Let's see whether this pickup thing worked or not. Whether I've got it sussed. Oh my goodness. I think we're finally there, ladies and gents. So what have we used? We have used our crystal clear embossing powder. We've used the sticky glue that comes in the 2 sizes. Make some room up here. We've anti-static bag. Don't forget your anti-static bag. If you do forget the anti-static bag, I'm going to come in on the camera and hopefully I'll pick it up because obviously I made this before. Can you see? Oh, sorry. On this petal, there are some little white speckles. Don't know if you can see that. Hoping you can. And that's because the embossing powder's jumped and you can't colour over the top of it. So hopefully that makes sense to you. We've used spiced marmalade, wild honey and carved pumpkin, and we've used Onyx black for the stamping. We've used our super smooth cardstock that comes in the 250 or 300 GSM. I have used our lighter weight black sheets, which are 120 GSM. Just a big note. Yeah, that would work, Annie, wouldn't it? And then we've got the Brushstrokes stamp set. And remember that little technique about using the big ones. Make sure you roll it onto your acrylic block. Don't just pop it down. We used Just In Case, so thinking of you, just a little note, new home, feel better soon, with sympathy, with love, good luck, celebrate, congratulations on the arrival of your baby, thank you, and that all important handmade by a tiny little one on there as well. And then last but not least, we have used a flower fountain. So hopefully, and then if I do that, then, oh, I forgot to tell you about the pens. And the pen colours we have used are orange 070, yellow 050, and bright yellow 052. I am as yellow as my yellow pens, look. So that's everything we have used. Now, what have I got to tell you about? You're going to get to see my nice rosy face. Look, I put my finger right in front of that camera. Oh, it's warm in here now. Right, I'm not complaining because I'd much rather it was warm than cold. So a couple of things to tell you about. So our next Facebook Live is the 21st of September. Fingers crossed we will have our brand new launch. I will keep you updated on that when the time comes. Keep an eye on our Facebook pages, either on Honeydew Crafts or Honeydew Crafts Be Inspired, which is where you can go and join. And am I on the hoof? Or you can go and join, and you can post all of your finished products, samples, demos, beautiful cards that you've made for people, projects you've done over on there using Honeydew Crafts products. So we love to see it, what people have done. Somebody did a lovely one just before I came live today with the birthday wreath, which was really pretty. Now what else do I need to think about? So we have a couple of shows finally coming up. We are at the Motorcycle Museum in Birmingham next weekend, not this coming weekend, the weekend after, so the 16th, Saturday the 16th. That opens at 10 AM until 3 PM. We then are at the Craftorama, I think it's Craftorama and might be Stamporama, on the 1st of October. Be Nice to Us, that one's in Lincoln, 1st of October. So those of you that don't know about it yet, I'm not sure if you've heard, unfortunately Stamp Magic at the Doncaster Dome is not going ahead in October. She will review this for next year. So Doncaster's not that far away from the Lincoln show, so get your fix of your October crafting at the Lincoln Showground on the 1st of October. That again is open from 10 till 3, I believe. And then those of you local to us, we have the Thetford show at the Breckland Leisure Centre on the Sunday the 8th of October. So we've got a few coming up now, so it would be lovely to see lots of you there. We will obviously have the new releases with us as well by then. So I think that's enough of me waffling. I hope you've enjoyed today's demo. It did take us a while to get there, and I apologise for all the technical issues we had, but we did get there in the end. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and we are back on Thursday the 21st of September. Can we have some stamps for men's cards, please? There are I'm trying to think what we've got coming out. There is one that's coming out that would work for men's cards. It's a little bit different for us. We've got obviously our usual florals as well, but we've also got some new stencils coming as well, which would work for your men's cards as well, Kathy. So please watch us. Those of you that are watching on holiday, enjoy the rest of your holiday. Those of you that are watching it in the sunshine with a nice cold drink, enjoy the weather. And we will see you all again on the